Enter the kingdom of the dragon. Ferocious, terrifying, benevolent, fire-breathing. Dragons are universal, known to everyone in the world. Sometimes they're serene, sometimes terrifying, always beyond human control. But where did dragon myths come from? When ancient people found dinosaur bones, did they then imagine dragons? From trademarks to national flags, to tales from mythology, the dragon can take many forms. But what do these dragon myths mean to us today? People have portrayed dragons in countless shapes and sizes, but what they have in common is this. Peel back a dragon's skin and you'll find a serpent. In myth, dragons and serpents are, in effect, the same creature. "6,000 years ago, the ancient Egyptians told the story of a dragon serpent called Apep. Apep was the sworn enemy of the sun god Ra.
Each morning, Ra rises in the east and sails his boat westward along the river in the sky, the Nile of the heavens. And every evening, at journey's end, the serpent Apep comes up from the river bottom and chases Ra's boat, trying to eat it. Eventually, as the day draws to a close, he catches Ra's boat, so the sun slowly sets down Apep's throat, and night falls.
Egyptian dragon myth is based on the dangers of the earthly Nile, where there really are monsters that rise up and grab boats. Apep has crocodile in him. When a creature really is terrifying, sometimes the best way of dealing with that terror is to turn the creature into a god. Maybe that will appease it. So there was also a holy crocodile, worshipped at the temple in the Egyptian city of Crocodipolis. Priests performed ceremonies in his honor and prepared him meals of cake, meat, wine, milk, and honey. This was the god Sebek. Sebek had many of the qualities of a classic dragon. He was connected both with the sun and its bounty and with the gods of evil and brutality. The priests not only pampered the sacred crocodile, they hung jewelry on its head and put bracelets on its legs. And when the crocodile died, it was given the ultimate in human honors. It was mummified and put in a tomb, along with jewelry and other valuables. This was certainly because they respected the animals, but it was probably also to scare off tomb robbers. Remains of dead crocodiles on top of piles of gold may have led to the myth that dragons were guardians of treasure. Like the Egyptians, the ancient Greeks linked the dragon with the crocodile. For them, the dragon was master of both the land and the water. Evidence of this may be found in the Greek historian Herodotus. This is his description of the monster from the 5th century BC.
It inhabits the land and the water, lays and hatches its eggs on the former, and spends most of its day there, but passes the night in the water.
The word dragon comes from the Greek drakon, meaning to watch. Watchfulness is one of the crocodile's better strategies. Its cold, motionless eyes are always calculating the odds on a kill. Nile crocodiles, in fact, eat people at the rate of about 1,000 a year. And migrating gazelles are a feast. They can be as wary as they like, but water's not a gazelle's element. And some of them won't make it to the other side. Like dragons, crocodiles are immortal, or so people have imagined. Their lifespan is, on average, longer than a human's, and a person could grow up, live a life, and be ready to die, and still be seeing the same old crocodiles in a local river. And, like crocodiles, dragons guard treasure, live forever, and fear nothing. They have the cunning of snakes and the vigilance of crocodiles. The reptilian nature of crocodiles gives dragons many of their characteristics. The talons, the rough hairless skin, the teeth, the eyes. In fact, a lot like this giant reptile with its flickering tongue. Forbidding, monstrous, even repugnant. This species of Indonesian monitor lizard was discovered by the outside world much too recently to have made any contribution to dragon lore. But in 1912, when Westerners saw them for the first time, no other name came to mind but dragon. Komodo dragons, called after the island where they live. They're 10 feet long. They eat deer and domestic animals. They've even been known to eat an islander. They have such filthy saliva that they kill animals by biting them once and then waiting for them to die of septicemia. Reptiles evolved from amphibians, and amphibians have also made a contribution to dragon biology. The ancient Mediterraneans saw this vivid orange and black salamander as some kind of condensation of evil. It was called the fire salamander and was said to be able to walk through flames without burning. Pliny, the 1st century Roman natural historian, had this to say about the fire salamander.
It is the most venomous animal in the world, and seeks the hottest fire to breed in, but quenches it with the extreme frigidity of its body. It is born of fire that has been burning for 7 years.
Fire, the most destructive force of all, is the dragon's main weapon. They breathe fire, and they terrify people with it. The dragon's jaws are the gates into hellfire. What people think of the dragon's power and how they react to it depends a lot on the people and their culture. The Chinese, for instance, see dragons as positive spiritual beings, the essence of yin, the masculine force. Dragons are China's most ancient royal emblem. They control the land, the heavens, the water, the air, even time. No Chinese would ever try or even want to slay a dragon. The results would be catastrophic. Dragons, after all, can punish people, can ruin them, slaughter them if they feel like it. It would never be a good idea to anger a dragon, because an angry dragon is an angry universe. It's much more sensible to live peacefully with the beasts and to receive, instead of their rage, their blessings. These come, when they come, mainly in the form of fertility. Dragons can be, above all, the farmer's friends. They can bring useful rain as easily as they can bring hurricanes, sunshine in moderation as easily as droughts. The main point of the celebrations of the Chinese New Year, which comes in late winter, is to wake the dragon up, gently, so that he'll be in a kindly mood and bring a fertile spring. And once every 12 years, he brings what ought to be a particularly good year. The dragon is the most important sign in the Chinese calendar, and people born in the year of the dragon are said to be strong-willed, idealistic, wise, lucky, and powerful. Chinese parents try, if they can, to have their children in the year of the dragon. Dragons are in everything. The ups and downs of mountain ranges are said to follow the ridges of a dragon's back. Mountains and the forces they influence, wind and water mainly, form the basis of the ancient earth science known as Feng Shui. The idea of this philosophy, now popular in places as far afield as London and Los Angeles, is that the two energies in the world are yin and yang, negative and positive. And for good health, good business, and good just about everything, these need to be kept in balance. Dragons, mountains, and the breezes they control are yin. Water and other constantly moving forces are yang. Most Chinese people understand the nature of these dynamics and never do anything to block them, so that they can always create a harmonious whole. A prosperous and healthy house, for example, always has its back to the mountains and water in front. Feng Shui is applied to architecture and covers everything from the placing of a building to where a chair faces and how things should be arranged on a table. Dragons sweeping along with the wind follow special paths. And in modern buildings, spaces are left to allow the dragon through. In China, dealing with the dragon, using the dragon, means going with the flow. In the ancient martial art of Gung Fu, the dragon fighter does what he calls riding the wind. Instead of coming straight at his opponent, he follows his movements and uses them against him. To the Gung Fu artist, the dragon is a vision of truth, but one that's felt in the body rather than the mind. Visions of truth that are felt in the mind are the legendary pearls of wisdom. They're flaming nuggets that fall out of the sky and are chased by the dragon until they lodge in people's minds, or until the dragon catches them. It may have been a pearl of wisdom that inspired European furniture makers when they evoked the Orient in their ball and claw furniture legs. In Europe too, dragons were linked with the sky. The Greek dragon Drakon lives forever as a constellation, and when dragons appeared as comets and meteors, nothing good ever came of them. As one 8th century observer put it,
terrific lightnings and dragons in the air, which were ominous signs of the great famine and the frightful and ineffable slaughter of multitudes of men which ensued.
Those were the words, significantly, of a European Christian, a monk and student of the Bible, which has never given very good press to reptiles in general. Monks, both early and medieval, knew dragons very well. Monks were the ones, after all, who wrote their descriptions and drew their pictures in bestiaries.
Serpens gets its name because it creeps by secret approaches and not by open steps. The ones that have 4 legs like lizards and newts are not called serpents, but reptiles. Serpents are reptiles that crawl on belly and breast. The devil, who is the most enormous of reptiles, is like this dragon. He's often borne into the air from his bed, and the air around him blazes.
Unlike the Chinese, Christians made the dragon into the devil, and it was the solemn duty of any Christian hero to kill a dragon whenever he could. And the legendary dragon slayer is St. George. The story of exactly what he did varies from place to place, but it's generally accepted that he was a Christian horseman in the latter days of the Roman Empire, riding through the world in search of noble adventure. And on the day he rode up to the walled city of Selene, he definitely found it.
The city was besieged by a dragon which threatened to incinerate everyone in it, unless each day one unlucky soul was sent out as a sacrifice. Other knights had ridden out to kill the monster, but they'd only ended up with their heads on their swords. But George pressed on, following the trail of skulls and bones, until he reached the cavern that could be nothing else but the dragon's lair.
Did George really kill the dragon? Can the dragon ever be killed? What does the dragon mean to us today? Since humanity first found itself alive in the midst of nature, it's been at the mercy of nature's chaos. Nature rains and blows and burns. And humanity's challenge is always to go out and face the chaos, to overcome it with the spirit and the mind, to master the dragon and subdue it, to make the world's destructive forces creative ones. Primitive people's control of murderous fire, for instance, would have been one dragon harnessed. And now people have harnessed something far more dangerous.
In the 1950s, the British exploded atomic bombs on the sacred Aboriginal lands of Australia. Nobody forewarned the Aborigines about what was to happen. And when they saw the first mushroom cloud, what they saw was a monstrous dragon. What the scientists saw was the result of the fission of the nuclei of atoms. They didn't know that the desert would be radioactive for 250,000 years. The mushroom cloud was a dragon, seeking revenge, angered by man's destruction of its homeland.
Dragons. In one sense, humans have brought them under control, but in another, their power seems as terrible as ever, worse. Like George, people are still going out to fight the dragon, trying to impose order, moral order, on chaos. But sometimes it seems that the dragon can never be slain. George is forever fighting the dragon, and it simply gets bigger, meaner, more immoral, and more invulnerable. The dragon still rampages and destroys. And humans are still bent on killing it. But the dragon still means different things to different people. Many ancient societies thought the dragon was the universe itself. Are we going to meet the dragon as we reach into space? The dragon is perhaps the human challenge. It's what keeps people as a species going and going. And as the dragon has got bigger, so has the human response, the inspiration, the aspiration, the science. The dragon is nature's chaos, and people will do anything to grapple with it, even if it means leaving the whole planet behind and entering the most immense and inhuman and terrifying lair of all. The unexplored universe. But what's next? What's the challenge now? A dragon so big that it's infinite? George would have loved this one.